I have made over 800,000 cold calls. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy, but it changed everything. Want to know what I learned from talking to thousands of sellers? Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jay Nacombe, real estate investor, and my wholesaling business consistently does six figures, and I'm on the road to seven figures. Now, for those that don't know, I started my business strictly doing cold calling, which at first, beginning, when I first started out, I hated it, but I just learned to love the process. So that means I'm cold calling absentee owners, tired landlords every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I'm starting to document my journey and recording the process and posting right here on YouTube as well. So feel free to tap in and join along during those time frames. But so I was browsing around on my dialer system and I noticed I've called 837,032 people, which is amazing, right? So over the course of 8 years, what I've learned is a few things, right? But one of them being that cold calling is essentially, when you take a step back, it's really just a sales funnel, right? So at the top portion of the funnel, you have straight cold leads, meaning they're strangers. They're not even a lead. They're just prospects, which can be potential leads. So part of the journey is to call these people, have quality conversations, and move them into, if they have any level of interest, they're going to be considered a warm lead, right? So what you're going to find is the majority of people that you talk to, I would say 8 out of 10 is always in the maybe category. I'll think about it. Some version of follow-up, right? So follow-up is so key. But on the flip hand, you do have, you get lucky sometimes, maybe one or two that would say, hey, I'm ready to sell. I was just thinking about it. You can come see the house like now, right? You're always going to, the harder you work, it just happens that the luckier you get for some reason, right? So you're always going to get those. But the majority of it is follow-up, right? So they stay in this middle bucket. And our job as a real estate investor, wholesaler, is to advance those conversations. Because if you think about the perfect avatar of these people, they are, some of them might be elderly, they might inherit a property, but typically speaking, we're providing speed and convenience, and these people are done and they are fed up with the property. So our goal is to help them move along that process to ultimately helping them make a decision. Now, there's certain techniques and traits to get into it. I don't want to get into it too much, but the most important thing that I can tell you is to, when you're having a conversation, always have in the back of your mind, you got to play chess, right? Because you got to think 5 steps ahead. And as you're talking to people, you have to think like, okay, how am I going to set up for success for the seller as well as yourself, what the next conversation will look like. So at the end of every conversation, it should either be you giving the seller homework, as in, let's just say if the seller needs to talk it over with a sister or a relative or spouse, you have to tell them like, okay, so once you talk to your whoever you need to talk to, then that means we're going to have a conversation next week at 7 p.m. So you're literally setting appointments, whether that's in person or over the phone, to make sure we get commitments. We want advanced commitments. That is so key, because what I've learned is if you end the conversation and it's like, okay, I'll just call back in a month, that leaves a open-ended scenario, and it's a higher likelihood of them literally just ghosting you. Like, you'll be like, oh my gosh, they just disappeared off the face of the earth. And if you've been in this business long enough, Trust me, it will happen to you. But the best way to avoid it, again, it's not 100% proof, but it's going to give you a better chance for the sellers to make sure that they do their homework. And sometimes it might be homework on your end, right? Whether that's you need to look up comps to understand the value. Depending on how you run your business, you might have a financial partner, whether that's a hard money lender that you got to run it by, whether you got to talk to your contractor to see when is a good time to see the property, or if you're doing it virtually, if your boots on the ground, wherever it may be, you got to say, I'll do that. I'll talk to who I need to talk to, and then let's reconvene. Let's have this conversation at X date and time. Try to be as specific as possible, and I promise you, you will see results. All right? So, look, it's all about, again, just to recap this video, it's all about having advanced agreements, making sure you push the conversation going, and you make sure there's some sort of progress, because you don't want to stagnate and have things ruminate, because that's the worst possible scenario. I promise you. You don't want to have to follow up leads for 18 months, 2 years, because you will inevitably, but you want to have small few in between those type of leads as much as possible, versus the ones that actually want to take action. They just need help moving the thing along, because that's our job, right? Is to help people make these tough decisions. All right. So ultimately, again, it's all about having a funnel, right? Cold prospects at the top, then you move them into the warm leads, which is the majority of conversations. And the best way to help people is to help advance them to closing them in the funnel, which is getting them under contract, making those appointments, making offers, and selling deals. All right. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys got any questions, or if you got any feedback, or if you're looking to learn more how to wholesale real estate, feel free to tap in to my course. It's a free course, 100% free. School.com/wholesale masterclass. I'm going to put the link in the description below. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.